pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'm calling the meeting to order. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from our last meeting?
Kim Meredith will make a motion to accept the meeting minutes as presented.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Lipkin.
All right, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Financial report. Okay,
She had to go with her husband to a doctor's appointment, but she'll, yeah. Nope.
okay.
Do you have the financials in front of you?
The big one.
A long one.
It's readable.
Yeah,
That it is.
barely for some of us older people. All right. So West Point TIF Fund has a total of $25,566.48. Henderson Ford Interchange TIF Fund had a cash balance of $424.67, and it remains at $424.67. Waverly Allocation Area had a cash balance of $3,425.33, and it ended in June at the same balance. Eagle Valley TIF Area had a cash balance of $5,493,070.20. We have interest of $18,839.93. Property taxes came in at $792,913.68. Total revenue then is $811,753.61. We had expenses, professional services, $2,730. Bond interest was $67,665.63. So total expenses were $70,395.63 with a cash balance of $6,734,428.18. July claims, again, consulting fees, $22,730. Barnes & Thornburg, $2,332. GM Development Companies, $350,000. And RAO, which is Accelerate Independent Municipalities, $125. So our total claims for July are $355,187 and no cents. There is no activity in the Old Morgantown TIF. There was in Eagle Valley Interest Fund. There is a no cash balance. We have a revenue of $260,750, which is the total revenue amount. The expenses were $210 for bond principal. Bond interest was $50,750. So total expenses are $260,750. Left with a cash balance of zero. Eagle Valley had no activity. Wetzel Trace has a 1 cent cash. Okay. We have 1 cent in that one.
That's big.
That's big. And then our accounts held in interest for SRF. SRF loan construction account had $50,513.54 with interest earned of $174.79. The May cash balance was $50,688.33. The SRF bond and interest account has $6,650.87. It had $23.02 of interest, gave us a cash balance of $6,673.89. SRF loan debt service reserve amount, May cash balance was $901,544.57. Earned interest was $3,119.59 for a total of $904,664.16. Does anyone have any questions on that?
Troy Sprinkle will make the motion to accept the financial report as read.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of claims, as read earlier, we have Mance Consulting, $2,730, Barnes & Thornburg, $2,332, GM Development Companies, $350,000, RAI
Accelerate Indiana municipalities for $125. Total July claims $355,187.00. What is the GM?
Yep, so just to clarify, that is for back in March of '24, you all provided an update on the, for the lift station off of Huggen Hollow. So we're using some Ready funds, the county chipped in some, and back in March of '24, you all approved spending $350,000 towards the lift station off of Huggen Hollow. So that is what that's for.
Okay. And RAI?
I do have those minutes in case anybody wants to see those, just so you know. RAI is the Redevelopment Association of Indiana,
Oh,
which is
that's
a
our
part of
membership.
AIM. And so that's the annual dues. They're the ones you get emails.
Yep.
Both through AIM, through RAI, which I think have probably never been more important than they have been the last few months, so,
Agreed.
They're having a meeting I'm going to on Thursday, so,
yeah.
or Wednesday.
Yep.
Anyway, okay. All right, I would entertain a motion to accept the claims as stated.
So moved.
Jeff?
In a second?
Kim Meredith will second.
All right, motion is second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We're now at the part of our agenda for public comment. Does anyone in the public want to make a comment? Okay, seeing none. Move on to legal update.
A specific legal update for me this month.
Economic development update. Chelsea.
A couple things. I did circulate the pass-through determination to all the underlying taxing units after last month's meeting. There's a new requirement that now you'll see kind of page 2 of our packet. You now have to have each member that's been appointed, who their appointing body was in their term. So that has to accompany all agendas and all meeting notices. So I also have it on the website, just so all that information is consistent and out there. So if you're wondering why that addition was made, it's a new legal requirement. And then we are streaming. As of July 1, you're supposed to stream.
Okay.
And then just continued coordination on all things sewer. Had our One Western partnership call with Monrovia, the new town clerk. Did participate in that with Monrovia, and then Hendricks County. So just continuing to communicate on what's going on the State Road 39, I-70 corridor, as we've been doing for years. So know who's on first, who's on second, what's going on out there. So happy to answer any questions that anybody may have as far as my monthly report goes.
Any questions, Chelsea? No. All right, seeing none.
And the Henderson Ford interchange request. We've got a couple guests here.
Okay.
Greg starting, I'm assuming, as he's the one getting up. Greg Marks with GM Development.
Good morning.
morning.
Yeah, please.
Cold last night, too.
Great, thank you. Especially with my voice, it's great. So the big project that we're working on is the elementary school, new elementary school, which again, Eric Ballin will be up in just a second to give you an update and some overview of that. We're going to be starting construction on that in August, so it's actually coming very quickly here. What we're asking for your support on is a supportive project of that project. When we selected that site, we knew we would have two issues that we'd have to work through, one being the sewer, which I know you all are well aware of that. We're not requesting any participation or help from the RDC for that. We're working on that with our own funds. But the other one was Centennial Road, which if you've driven out there, you'll know why we need to do improvements with Centennial Road. And also a potential roundabout at Egbert Road. The reason that we're saying potential is that the roundabout would not be absolutely necessary for us to operate. It would be very helpful, and I think it would be good for economic development purposes in the future to provide for better traffic maintenance in the future. The part that is absolutely essential for us, though, is the Centennial Road upgrades. What we're hoping is, though, that you'll look at this as not only being essential for the new elementary school, but also providing additional infrastructure and improvements that will help open that entire area for economic development in the future. The budgets, we're right in the middle of design of both of those projects, and when I say both, I mean Centennial Road and the roundabout project at Egbert and Centennial. So we do have pricing on both of them. Centennial Road is, the pricing is $1,976,745. $1,976,745. And the roundabout project, we're earlier in design on that one. We're trying to be as fair to you as possible, so I think this is a little bit conservative. It'll probably be above this, but the conservative estimate is, or aggressive estimate, I should probably say, is $1,300,000.
1,300,000?
1,300,000, yes. And so if you were able to help us fund both of those projects, the total would be $3,276,745. $3,276,745. And again, if what we're not asking you to do is take risk on these budgets. So if for instance, the roundabout were to come in at 1.4 million, something like that, we would cover that. So we're definitely not asking you to, where we would be coming back for more funds if we run into problems, those sorts of things. If you were able to help us with this project, it would be a tremendous help for us. We've got a gap we're trying to close, and this would close about 40% of that gap. So it would really, really help us out quite a bit. I did think before, if you think it's appropriate, I was thinking maybe it might be also good for you to hear from Eric Bolin, just so you have a different perspective from obviously the school superintendent. You all know how passionate Eric is, and if you don't know about this project, I think that it might be good for you to hear just more about the bigger project that this would help support. So, Eric?
Thank you, Greg. I am actually taken back in time, standing here in front of you. I was on the original RDC board, appointed with Jeff Quile and Pete Foley. They started it. We did the Eagle Valley project, and the whole conversation at that time, I had run for city council as a citizen at that time, but I was an administrator. But I ran for city council, and one of my platforms was economic development and the RDC. At that time, Mooresville had several $1 million in an RDC account. Martinsville, we had nothing, and the county did not have anything. Mooresville was ahead of the curve there, and we were looking at ways to inspire, spur growth in Martinsville and in Morgan County. So Jeff Quile heard me out on the campaign trail, you know how that is here in Martinsville, and brought me aside and said, hey, would you participate? This is what I'm thinking. This is what I would like to do from a county level. And I was like, absolutely. And I wasn't appointed as a school board representative like Dr. Allen is. I was appointed as a councilman. So that the whole thing was economic development, and how could a school person want to be involved in a TIF? Well, we know that if an area doesn't grow, neither does a school. It doesn't grow. And if you don't have good schools, you don't have good economic growth either. So we saw it as a hand and glove situation, that this has to run together in order to make it work. And the Eagle Valley project was the first TIF district we drew, and I know it expanded and they did some others. And to hear the discussion on the financial report, and I'm sitting here thinking, whenever we started, it was 0. And to hear what has been done over the years, I commend you as a board for doing that, because the economic development, the things going on in our county is noticeable. The things going on in the city is noticeable. The things going on up at Mooresville is noticeable. Monrovia, noticeable. And I think it's going to change how people perceive our county. And that's one of the things we did with this project with the elementary school. Dr. Allen can attest to the financial constraints that schools face today. Also with balancing declining enrollment at the same time with trying to compete and entice and bring people into your school district and into your schools. It's a battle. It is something you have to do. Ironically, we embarked on this program and this project 3 years ago. Started down this path, did a facility assessment, looked at our 7 elementary schools and said, wow, we cannot sustain supporting 7 small elementary schools. We just can't do it financially. Yeah, we would go bankrupt. So project started coalescing in our minds. What can we do? And we thought, okay, we need to build something attractive, something enticing, something different, and it has to be in a location to try to pull some people, because we have a lot of people that leave our area and go to Indianapolis, and they'll drop their kids off at some private schools, some other schools up there, Center Grove area, stuff like that, and we have them going to Bloomington, doing the same thing. And it's like, how can we be more attractive and appealing and compete in that world? We already know that obviously some of the old facilities we have, and it takes millions of dollars just to put a roof on one, and you're like, you spend a couple $1 million and nobody notices, nobody sees it. And it's like, we cannot continue this. We can do it for like 4 more years, and then we would be totally in a financial struggle. Well, we started on this path, and we have been able over the last 3 years to stay above the water by making sound fiscal decisions. This plan came in at the same time SB1 comes in. It's like, thank goodness we got under that wire and got this project done and everything. Might not in the next couple of years be able to do something like that. I think it will change because of the impacts that people are going to see. But we're going to build a STEM academy, or STEAM academy, I should call it, which is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. We're going to add the arts to it. So all of our schools will have a STEAM concept. But this building it's going to be one of those that's going to be, wow. People are going to say that. They're going to see that. And they're going to say, that's attractive. That's appealing. That is something I like. It's interesting whenever you look at economic data, which you all do, and you notice, you often think that if there's a high tax rate or something, people, they don't want any part of it, they're going to go to the low tax rate. Well, the data definitely shows, Jeff can probably attest to, and Chelsea can attest to, people like things. They like opportunities. They like parks. They like things for their kids to do and their families to do and for them to do. They like that, and they are attracted to that. That's why some of these areas around the donut counties are growing, and they have much higher tax rate than us. So what are we doing? And that's why the Economic Development Corporation was set up 15 years ago, whatever it is now. It's like dog years for me now. I apologize. I can't remember those years like I used to. But that whole economic driver was the reason for this panel to be set up originally. So how do schools play a part? Well, obviously, we don't participate in the capturing of that tax. Now, some areas, some economic development corporations set up some pass-throughs, and they buy the computers for kids and stuff of that nature. But we haven't been in that position yet, because I still think we're fledgling as a commission, but man, it's growing, and it's changing the impact in our district and in our county. It's so noticeable. It's actually, as an old man now, I'm one of the old guys, looking back saying, this is a good place. We've always known it as ourselves because we're here. And how do you tell others? For us, it was kind of difficult to say, trust us, and then take them to one of the old elementary schools and say, here's where we're going to have you. Well, we could appeal to some people. It's like small and tight in a community, in a family. That appealed to some. But if you didn't have the other amenities, those families went somewhere else. And that's something that we could not sustain. So that's why this whole project came about. And we really think, once you see the plans which will be unveiled here in August, you're going to take a look at it and say, the wow word, that's what we keep coming up with. It's kind of like this new building being here for the dedication the other day. I heard a lot of people say, wow. And I know, Kim, what kind of pressure you took, you know, when y'all do that type of thing, you get pushback. You always do. But in 5 years, you don't get any more of that pushback, and people are taking advantage of opportunities that you provided, and you didn't even have them say thank you, right? So I'll stand up here and tell you, thank you for doing that. That's not easy to do. And I've had people tell me, you can't close this building or that building. You surely aren't going to close this building or this one over here. The history and all that, right? You get that. And I often will ask them, can you name the building and the buildings that were in place before the Empire State Building went up in New York? Nobody can. They can all name the Empire State Building. They all know about it. They can't tell you anything about what happened before that went in. Now, obviously, we can't use World Trade Center now, unfortunately. But the Empire State Building still stands as a beacon there in New York City, still on that skyline. So that's the premise that we took is, okay, we've got to do something. Yep, I know I'll be run out of town type of thing, but we have to do it in order to be fiscally sound and sustainable. And that's where we were wanting to appeal to you as a board. You could help us bridge that gap, as Greg mentioned, bridge that gap to where, okay, this project's not going to falter because of being, $3 or $4 million short. We want it to be done right. We don't want to do it and cut corners. We have a building, Bell East. There's a room there at Bell East. Don't quote me on this. There's a room there, we called it, when I became principal over there, the no-purpose room. Because it was designed, and it was supposed to have the arts, it was supposed to have a stage, it was supposed to have all this stuff. And they kept scaling it back, scaling it back, scaling it back, and he ended up with a room smaller than this, and they put wooden backboard here and a wooden backboard there, and they put carpet in there. And they had a couple of storage rooms at the end. No purpose. We couldn't use it for gym. We did. We improvised and did things. But the original design, totally out the window. No purpose. Well, we're doing an elementary, and, we have the financial struggles like everybody else, but we're wanting to make sure that we don't have to cut in areas to where all of a sudden you're like, why did they do that? And it's one of those situations like, oh, that's a no-purpose corner, or that's a no-purpose room, or that's a no-purpose wing, or something like that. We want to make sure it's done, and it's a beacon, and it's something that Morgan County can be proud of. I know that Dr. Allen's doing projects up there in Mooresville, and if you go up there and see, some of the things that Jake has done. Sorry I called you Jake there. I apologize. Dr. Allen, he'll get me at lunch. Some of the things they've done is just, you know, it's all inspiring. It's like, that's good stuff. And we've been doing the same thing over the last 3 years in Martinsville. And people are like, wow, that's good. So we're wanting to continue this because the momentum's going. And we know the costs will go up. It has on our project since we started 3 years ago. It's like, oh, crap, we've got to get this done, type of thing. So roundabouts, the road widening, stuff like that is going to have an economic impact. We know the land, whenever we bought the land, we had several farmers, landowners that we talked with, and the price was higher than what we ended up with. And it was like, wow, this is going to change. This is going to change that area a lot. And for us, we were like, well, we don't want to wait and have somebody else set the price. We need to try to do something ourselves and set the price that we know we can make it sustainable and fit our budget. And that's what we were able to accomplish. And the location is ideal, right? You know, you just get right off the highway, and in 30 seconds, if you're my wife driving, a minute and a half for me, I could be at the front door at our new elementary school. So I think it's something that's going to change the economic impact of that area, because we are a good community neighbor as a school. Schools are good community partners. Just this last weekend, Poor Jack's Amusement parked all their rides and stuff at the high school because they didn't have a place to put it because the rodeo was going to be on at the fairgrounds, you know, and they couldn't bring everything in. And they're like, we need a place. And we're like, hey, come and use our parking lot. We don't care. A couple of days, piece of cake. We'll make sure that it's watched and it's got cameras on it. You're all good. We have always been and always will be a good community partner. And at this time, we're just asking this board, can you help us out to bridge that gap so that we have a no-purpose? We do not have a no-purpose wing or a no-purpose school. We have what's best for our kids, which is what's best for our district, which is what's best for our county. That's what we're asking for. Thank you for your time. I'll take any questions you might have.
Question, go ahead.
In the beginning, you said that you have 7 elementary schools. Will this be your 8th, or will?
We're going to be closing some elementaries, 3 at a minimum, maybe 4.
So this will be
A bigger
relatively
one.
larger in size?
Yes, and how it's designed is each wing is its own grade level.
Okay.
So it's a school within a school. So whenever you have, like an elementary school right now, that one of our small ones that has 125, well, there's going to be 125 first graders. And they won't interact with the second graders, third graders, fourth graders, unless it's a common time, right? So they have their own wings, their own pods, their own entries, and everything into that. Okay. So it's a school within a school concept. So whenever you say, okay, you could have 700 kids in a building, people go, that's big for an elementary. Well, not whenever you design it to where people don't even, the kids know their community. And so we're excited about that.
Thank you.
We'll let everybody know once we have to get the final design done, and then the rerouting of the bus routes and the district boundaries. And then we can determine exactly how many schools will be impacted, or we that then can pull offline.
Okay.
And we have some ideas to repurpose a few.
I've got a couple. Since I've been on the board, or the commission, or whatever it's called, we've dealt with businesses. And with that as a focus, I completely believe a school is a very viable asset to the county, and I think this is a great way to bring in home ownership. And I'm a big advocate of home ownership to start everything else. So no issues there. And my couple questions, Eric, might seem out of place here, but they're the same types of questions I'd ask a business about sustainability and what's going to happen. So a couple of things I look at this, and this is a big chunk of money in, less than a mile. It's a lot of dough thrown down there. And is there from our county side enough forethought. First off, the big question I have right here is, as a person who drives by South School every day, and the traffic, you know, it's just for a few minutes in the morning, and it's just a few minutes in the afternoon, but it's a nightmare. Thankfully, it's well policed, kids aren't gonna get hurt, but for people backed up now with Artesian Avenue, that area is getting to be just a cluster. And Centennial has become this artery through this Green Township part of the county, and it's not built for it. It's obvious the reason you're asking this. So, you know, 1,000 feet down from the school, it comes back down to this country road that's not able to be striped, I don't think technically. And at the drop-off and pickup times, this is a bottleneck. I'm not questioning you guys with your thinking ahead of it, but the impact that we've put money into this road just to come back in 3 years and go, boy, it goes back to I think the short-sightedness at 69. They built it 2 lanes with the ability to come back and add a third when it's pennies on the dollar just to kick it 2 foot wider. I've fought that as long as I could. So I've got some concerns about, is this really enough here on Centennial right here for access? You know, even though it's only 180 days a year, that's a lot for people, especially with the growth that this area is going to have. So I'd like to hear sometime more about that, because we're going to have to discuss. We're not going to make a vote today, I'm sure. Talk, I would think.
You want me to address that first?
Oh, go ahead, yeah.
Would that be okay?
Sure.
Just because I didn't want to interrupt you, but you're absolutely right. We see this as, we're like the first seed planted in that area. Just like the first meeting I was sworn in here for the RDC. It was the first meeting, it was the first seed, and look what's happened as a result of that first meeting. Never will, the lights weren't even turned on. It was dark in here. We just had the first meeting. And it has evolved into what you guys are now in charge of, another bonding capacity entity that's making an economic development impact in our community, all throughout our community. We see it as the same thing. This can't be the first and only. It has to be a continuation, like you said.
Right.
And that has to come with a county road improvement plan, stuff like that. That's something I know that they'll be looking at. They're not naive. I think you guys are good at that, to be able to point out those type of things. What are we going to do and how are we going to get there type of things.
I would
think
just
that's
think
important.
a few dollars more now saves us and the county or whoever a lot more down the road. My next question, again, may sound out of place here, and I don't think it is, because it's about the overall economic sustainability within your school corporation, which within our county, and I'm very passionate there. I was around or just coming back home when South School was being built and all the hubbub. I don't know, were you here for South being built?
No, I was
Okay.
I was a little bit further south. Don't tell anybody where it was, so
Well,
you're not supposed to
It was
mention that.
interesting, where I was coaching at the time, the sister school, same architect built one right up there by Peru. And so it was great. I was kind of involved with the talking about it. And there was a lot of hubbub within the school system of, okay, you're building this Taj Mahal of a school, which at the time it was. And the compromise was we took the youngsters from North School and bused them or provided transportation for X years. It weaned out, I believe, to South School to give our lowest advantaged kids within the school system access to our biggest and brightest facility. And now, you know, kids can, you know, I've got employees that the kids go to South because they work there and they can walk back and forth even though they're within another elementary district. So what's to keep my kids from taking their children to one of this new Taj Mahal? And next thing you know, you've got a real tumbleweeds problem with the other schools, which are going to now negatively impact that area. And again, I don't want to dive into the school too much because we're talking about the road, but I think it's all great and positive until South School now becomes the tumbleweed area of that school, and nobody wants to be there because it doesn't have the cool windows.
Right, and that's It's human nature, isn't it? That's one of the things that occurs. And that's why when we talk about the seed being, yeah, sure.
Yes,
I
sir.
interrupted you a moment
Yeah,
ago.
it's human nature, yes, but what I'm more concerned with, it's affluent nature. My grandkids could go there. My kids can do it on the way to work, but not everybody's can. And that's my bigger concern.
Right.
We're gonna put a chunk of money into this area, and then somebody's gonna come along later and ask us for a chunk of money down here, and well, that's a city problem now.
Yeah, and that's one of the conversations, obviously. Did it just dive out on me? Over the last 3 years, once we got to this, it's coalesced into this concept, right? It's like, all right, this is just the first step. If you recall, a couple of years ago, when I walked through the door at Martinsville High School in 21, 22, the tax rate for, the debt service rate for Martinsville was 16.5 cents. The combined rate was 64.5. The state average was 105. Then I became superintendent. It was still 16.5 cents and 64.5 cents. And going into the second year, it was 16.5 cents and still 64.5. And we're like, what are we doing? The people who are benefiting from that are dead and gone. And the people who are needing amenities and improvement and stuff, they're the ones that are now saying, what do we have? We were proud of having not much of anything. And that's not appealing or attractive in any way, shape, or form. So we looked at it as, all right, we have got to move that up. And as a board, the board did. And we went to 79.5 cents to get up there with our neighbors to the north in Mooresville, just to get to them. And Dr. Allen and I talked several times, like, do you realize we're at the bottom of the state? Even at this rate, we're down at the bottom. So we know that we're trying to move the needle. This can't be the only thing we do. It can't be, okay, we're going to build a new elementary, we're going to have a new natatorium at the high school, which that thing's, I won't even get into that part, but we're going to make it into an economic draw at the same time. We've got some good plans for that, to bring people to Martinsville, to Morgan County with that pool. That, more to come on that later, and you'll be able to quote me at that time, Steve. All right, you'll be able to do that. So those are the type of things that we're trying consciously to address. And we know that we have to, if we're going to have a STEAM elementary with all the bells and whistles, guess what we have to do at the other buildings that are going to be still standing? That's phase 2. We've got to do something with those two, because those kids deserve the same thing, because all of our kids do. The problem is we've kicked this can down the road so far, so long, so many times, the can's dented, flat, and won't roll. It's time to now pick it up and do something. And that's what this board, I'm really proud of the board to take those shots, kind of like what Kim did with this project and her council and the commissioners to do what they did. We got to be proud of some things. And this is one of them. And we've got to, that's got to be phase 2. And I think when people see what we're doing, they'll be like, ooh, we can trust them with doing phase 2, because we'll be doing it well. And that's the whole game plan.
I'm personally concerned about having a backstop for us on any decision we make, but that does give us a backstop to prove, I think, more economic viability, to not treating it as a school versus a business. It's a chance to enhance our economic footprint and our growth capability. And so the more we're able to know that, the more we're able to have that backstop.
Right.
Again, not for personal attacks, but for, say, this is what is best for Morgan County, and that's the only thing. No, I'm more concerned about the kids than that, but still.
Yeah, we're having those conversations because, believe it or not, most of the people who come into our county are coming to one of our schools for an event, right?
Right.
That's one of our biggest draws in our county.
Let me digress
Yeah.
for 1 second. My biggest pet peeve ever, everybody coming from the south, coming to Martinsville for a game, came through the worst part of Martinsville, well, second worst, through South Street, right through there at that time. And this was your, every indication as you're coming up, welcome to Martinsville, and here you are going to the school for a function. And it just drove me nuts and always had. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, we tried, I was at the high school in 1994, 95. And when I got into administration at the high school, it was 2001, we wanted an entry off the highway to the high school so that we would totally go around exactly what you're saying. Now, I'm very proud of what they did on South Street now. It looks, it's great. And I commend the mayor and his team for what they've done. And you look at the roads and the sidewalks and the stuff they're doing from a city point of view, they're doing a fantastic job there. But it's all going to what you're saying, that economic impact. The pool, I can't wait to talk to you about it. Sidebar, not coming to ask for any money or anything. You're going to like what it is going to do because it will be one of the few that will be able to host the type of events that we'll be able to host. And not because of grandiose, but because of functionality. That's what it's going to be.
Anybody else have any further questions?
Okay, thank you for
very
your
much.
time. I appreciate it very much.
All right, so are we discussing? All right, so we have a proposal to contribute to the road development near the school. There's two of them. There's one for the Egbert interchange, and there's Centennial Road. Keep in mind, the total's 3.26, and I know that you all know about Sentinel 1. It's kind of limited our funding for, we're no longer, or may no longer be getting some of the money that we've been doing. So, go ahead.
I have a question. How does the money get moved then? This has to go into the Henderson Ford TIF, right? And we can give them all $426 right now, and I don't know how much that's going to help. So
Chelsea, I'll let Chelsea cover it, but we have some money in some other places.
I think we'd have to, I don't know what we have to do here.
And I'll let Adam jump in. Adam, I don't know if you heard the question, but Henderson Ford, that allocation area currently has a, what did we say, $400 balance?
$24.
$24, so sorry. So when we designed the allocation areas, essentially Eagle Valley allocation area can be spent in the other allocation areas with the exception of West Point. So West Point is its own completely separate TIF allocation area. Eagle Valley, Henderson Ford, Waverly, Old Morgantown, and Wetzel Trace are all interconnected. So essentially, just like we did in Waverly, I mean, you look at Waverly, think of the wastewater treatment plant and you know what that's cost us to build, and that balance is $3,400.
So we can just get taken, we don't have to move it into that TIF before we take it out?
Correct.
Okay.
So, and Adam has, do you want to jump in, Adam, about that?
Yeah, and I've talked to Ian Cover, the county attorney, a little bit about this, but we just haven't been able to connect fully. But what would most likely happen is we have an agreement with the county. The county might take on that, whatever component of the project that it is a county road, from my understanding, and then the commission could reimburse the county for those expenses.
So we're actually just taking budget off of them, so we're actually paying the county?
Yes,
Okay.
and the county would, yes, and then the county would.
What guarantees then does the school and the county have that the school's going to get what they wanted? I don't know, that just gets a little, that could be Gary. So how long's the project, Eric, 2 years?
Yes.
So there could be a lot of turnover.
Yeah.
And we could run into a thing that's,
Us couldn't be
Yep.
potentially wouldn't be sitting here. I mean, in that period of time.
I guess let me ask one question of you all. When would you actually need funds?
That's a good question. The construction of the road project, we're anticipating to begin next summer. And that would be about an 8-month construction project. So I would say first disbursements would probably be late spring and then going into going into late winter, let's say January, February, right in there,
So we're at a year.
Right.
of '27.
Yep. Adam, do you want to talk a little bit about, like, the agreement that could exist between the county commission or council and the redevelopment commission? To Brad's point, did you hear Brad's question?
Could you repeat it? I heard bits and pieces of it.
Yeah, so he's just, there could be turnover between now and then. Essentially, how do we make sure that the school gets, if there's an agreement, if the county's getting the money, how do we all know that it's going to exactly what the school is
Because
requesting
technically, the
essentially?
school's not getting the money.
The county's getting the
The
money.
county would get the money, yes, so, yeah, he's saying technically the school is not directly getting the money, so how can we make sure that it is going to what the commission would so desire, should that be what the commission so desires, is the question, right, Brad? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so we would need to work through all that. I mean, it depends partly on if the county is making the improvements to the road, if they have an agreement with the school, and the school's actually doing the improvements to the road. That would probably be the simplest with the commission's agreement with the county, right? Basically just funding this county's commitment with the school. So it can only be used and for the specified part of the project that you guys want to help support.
Would that be a contractual agreement? I mean, could we enter into some sort of contractual agreement?
That's the only protection I think you could
Yeah,
have, because you could still override a vote.
Into a contractual agreement, essentially.
Yes.
Okay.
Not a problem.
And then that would hold it.
So with that being said, we can do our part, but we're not really the ones that can say, yes, we'll enter into that contractual agreement. I mean, it'll be the commissioners that will have to be brought on in the conversation at some
So
point.
really bypasses us, almost not bypass, but it's an interest. And then if there's overruns, the county just has to absorb that? Because, again, this really is,
They're gonna take.
They said they would take that, because it
Yeah,
was,
and that would need to be in that contractual agreement.
I mean,
Yeah. Yes.
my question is, it's a big chunk total. If you had to choose between the two, between the Egbert and the Centennial, which would be of the utmost importance?
That would be a very easy question to answer, which is Centennial Road. That's an absolute must that gets done.
I won't vote, just so you know, for one and not the other. If it's a four-way stop, we will lose a student and a family in a fatality without question in time, in my opinion, just being around how people drive on county roads. So we're kind of like building a great fence and no back gate. And also, we're going to be asked later on to improve that area because of the growth and the things that will be able to come around there. I understand you want the Centennial Road first. I think that roundabout is, turning left is horrible there too, but you can get a squad, get it there, stop the road. You can do a lot every day on that. That four-way stop, you can't. And you got mother running late for school, or dad, or teenage dropping off their little sister. People are idiots on roundabouts, but they're morons at stop signs, okay? So, and there's not a lot of roundabout. There's fender benders, but there's not collisions. So I personally, in this county, I hate four-way stops on county roads. Because of that, it's just terrifying with youngsters. So that's just my opinion, which I've given a lot today.
I assume you guys have talked to the neighbors and the church, and they're all for this too? Okay.
100%.
Yeah, because they're going to lose a little parking lot, maybe.
There has to be obviously more discussions. They have the same kind of questions that you guys have.
Yeah.
Right? So it's one of those situations, like, all right, we're still, we got to get to that point, it's like, all right, this is what we're doing, and then people are going to be, all right, now we know what's happening.
Okay.
Surety is a lot better than a guesswork.
Yeah.
Good point.
And the one thing, Jeff, that you may want to make the roundabout contingent upon is we would have to acquire about half an acre of land to make that roundabout happen.
Mhm.
That we
So you're
do
not
have
really there
negotiated
yet.
right now. So that would probably be a good contingency for you to include, that if we're not able to get that, then obviously
Did you see an issue doing that?
That would be to the farmland, I would assume? That's correct. Yeah, okay.
That's easier land to, yeah.
Is there any utility easements and stuff around that area too?
There's actually two transformers at that intersection, which is part of the complication.
Okay.
This is why we wanted to bring it up now, because
No.
if you're ever gonna do it, now is definitely gonna be the most efficient time to do it while we're already dealing with some of those utilities.
Yeah.
True.
That's why we wanted to bring this up.
I think that's one of the key statements made today was the efficiency piece of, like Brad was saying, if we're gonna do this, we need to do it, all of it, not just, because what's gonna happen is we short the project and then we're gonna have to come back in and do it later.
It's gonna be more
And then it's more expensive and it's very similar to what Kim and I dealt with on the council with this building here, is that can have been kicked down the road, and Eric, you'd said that so many times that there has to be a starting point, and here it is. And let's figure out a way to fund it. And because it's the school, it's the area, it's
Community.
all parties involved is gonna benefit from that, so.
Yes.
I agree.
The roundabout will be big enough for farm implements? Have that been thought through?
I mean, that has to be, yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
And to support your statement, just to put a number on that, we actually looked at the roundabout as a standalone project. Pairing it with Centennial Road at the same time as Centennial Road is about a $300,000 savings.
I would think so.
That's not even
Yeah.
putting into account that it'd be a standalone project in the future where you have higher numbers. This is no inflation, this is just purely because it's paired with Centennial Road and the timing of it, that we're estimating about 300,000 savings.
It makes sense.
Yes.
It does, common sense.
Is it feasible?
Correct.
I'll just spew some numbers. I'm not a municipal advisor. However, I'll just share some facts. So if you look at our current balance sheet, I'll draw your attention to the Eagle Valley allocation area TIF fund 4403, about a third of the way down. So June 30th balance is 6.7 million. If you take away the July claims of 350,000, so we're at, just simple math, bear with me, we're at about 6.4, a little under 6.4 million. Our revenues annually for 2025, you'll see we just got about $1 million. We should have just a hair over $1 million, then received again in December. And so that'll put us, again, the 350 for the Hug and Hollow outside of our outstanding debt was the biggest expense we were gonna have this year. It's the biggest project that we've committed to. I'll also share our outstanding debt. So we have two, if you'll remember, our two debt service. So in 2015, you issued a $3.35 million debt. That's the one we're only paying interest on right now, okay? And then we have a $5,075,000 2019 debt principal outstanding as of July 25. And that is, in theory, as we're working with Bargersville on the memorandum of understanding and the Waverly wastewater treatment plant, they would assume that debt, assuming that we can get to the end of what we're working towards with them.
How long was it from the time we started the Eagle Valley TIF area before they started receiving decent tax revenues?
So assessments are in arrears, so you're assessed, and then it's the next year. So it's several years. We also, it was very, as the council will remember, you fronted us a cool million. So then there was some repayments that had to happen. So, I mean, it takes a while to do that, yes.
But one would make the assumption we're going to also see then the Henderson Ford TIF area bring us some revenues within the next few years of the project.
One would,
I mean,
I
that's the
think you
whole
could
point.
make that
We're kind of
assumption.
here.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's, again, if we think of, if we got through all the stuff I said, if we think of it as company X, not a school. You know, if this was gonna be a, I don't know, strip mall.
Yeah.
High-end strip mall. We would be talking about, okay, the potential revenues.
Shields 2.0 at Henderson
that's
Ford, yes.
Very high.
And yes, and to be clear, the schools are not, they don't pay into the TIF, right? So they are essentially tax exempt. So they would not be a contributing participant in the TIF, but yes, so.
So if you look at debt leaving, we potentially are losing the 5, so that goes away. The 3.5, was it
3.35.
Troy, can you put your microphone down? My hearing aids.
Sorry about that. So when we're looking at the debt, the 5 is going away, potentially the 335. Is that, you said that's interest only right now?
That is interest only.
When's it go
Through
to
29.
principal?
29,
Till 29.
yep.
Okay.
But again, we have 6.4. And actually, even our debt service reserve, because we're getting interest, that balance is greater than what it is mandated to be. So we've got 6.4. We'll get another million in revenues this year. We'll have another debt service payment due in January of '26. We pay debt service payments in January and July. We just paid, if you look at the Eagle Valley Bond and Interest Fund, we paid $260.
I would assume this 3.2, if, let's say we approve this, it wouldn't have to be a no lump sum all up front, right? I mean, we could stretch that out over 2 years or.
To say, can we, yeah.
Become a county draw, right? It'd be like a construction loan in a sense.
Am I going dead? Okay, here we go. Adam can jump in here too, but I know, we've done this in different ways in Mooresville. It can be done different ways. It depends on how we structure it. We could give them a lump sum so that we're just kind of out of it. If we have it, we could do draws. It could be done lots of different ways, so unless Adam wants to say something different.
No, Chelsea's right, but we can do, there's a lot of different choices, and as we discover the facts and, have more communication with everybody, a preferred method will come into focus.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any idea what the principal will be when 29, when that kicks in?
Yes, I do. The question was, what will principal be? So in 29, annual payments are going to be $382,000, and they hover around there.
Twice a year.
It's twice a year, but in total, it's $382,000.
Okay.
So we're at like 160
For the year?
a year.
Okay.
We're at 382, 377, 382. I mean, we bounce back and forth, but it's right at 380 annually. So split into 2 payments.
We settle on a figure today and vote in the affirmative. I don't think it's the end of it, though. We still need a contract, do we not?
Right, we'd just be kind of
We'd just be
starting the
saying
process.
starting the process, right.
Recommendation up
It'd be a
and then-
recommendation, right.
That's really all it is at this meeting.
What we would feel comfortable committing to.
Right, and then do we need a representative to go to the council and the commissioners? Does the school need to relitigate their argument against monies that this commission was set up to approve? It's a little tail chasing.
It does, it gets a little, but council, we can't enter into any contracts. That's the commissioners. So we are going to have to get the commissioners involved.
And it's
in
not
order to-
council money, so really
Right.
so that could get, but
Yeah.
we're gonna have to get the commissioners to sign
To agree to the
the agreement.
contractual agreement.
And
And
you guys may have to dog and pony again.
I think you know those guys, don't you?
Do we need to say our side of it to them, or is that just assumed?
Josh and I would work through that.
Yeah, they would.
Josh and I, and then Adam and the county's legal counsel would
They're not
work
having money,
in
so it's
tandem
not a- I mean, they're out
with
there,
you
but
all on that.
it's gonna be county work.
I'll show up if it's needed.
All right, Do we have any further discussion? Do we have anyone wanting to make a motion?
I'd make a motion for a $3 million commitment.
The 3.26?
276.
Is it 3.7?
276.
3.27.
Okay, that's what you'd written down, and we
3.6.
thought
Just a clean commitment of 3 million would be,
that the
We'd be
200
willing to
makes
do
a
that.
difference. It's,
Okay.
where's it gonna,
1,000, can't you? 278,000. We can make it work. I would feel comfortable with that. But we're a team, let's discuss it.
Do we have, well, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Kim Meredith will second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Open for discussion.
And that's for 3 million. So the 276 shortfall is, okay.
but again, by doing
We're gonna have some
that
savings.
300, it has to come in at a lesser total. It just doesn't have to,
You
but it
mentioned
should.
it can be, what'd you say, $300,000 less,
should.
350 less by
If it,
doing
if it was a
together?
standalone project.
Make it one project,
Mm-hmm.
in a sense.
I think what you meant was if it was a separate project, it would be a $3.6 million budget,
Correct.
not a $3 million budget, right? Just to be clear.
Yeah. So the 3.2 is a real number. That's a real number.
Yeah.
Because what you were saying was, what Chelsea, it would be 3.6 at that point, if they'd have done it as standalone. It increases the cost by 300.
I guess I would say, I don't really know why we're just gonna do 3 million. And to me, it's like either do the whole, you do 3.2 or you don't do it. I mean, you're nickel and diming them. Just saying.
I don't have any argument against that, other than just trying to be, not even fair, but
clean.
even numbers.
I mean,
Do that in my
They're
head.
counting.
Let's drop the $45 then, okay?
Exactly.
Yeah, you comfortable with
Yeah, there
that?
you go. We'll drop the 45 cent, yeah, $45. Yeah. I mean, that's just my thought. If you're gonna do it, do it. If not.
So you're gonna amend the
Yeah, I don't
motion?
know what taking
I'm certainly,
276.
I'm agreeable to that for sure.
I would be too. Want to change your motion?
Yes, I'll change my motion to go with the full allotted 3.276745.
And Kim Meredith will second that motion.
All right, we have a amended motion on the table. Any discussion?
Well, does that affect our 424? Sorry.
I mean, it does take a chunk out of whatever our position is, but
Again, reiterate, we're talking about cash on hand, not bonding. We're talking about using cash on hand.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yep.
No bond.
No bonds.
This discussion is investing in our kids, which is our future, which, I mean, if we're gonna put it there, this is the place to put it.
This will be a catalyst for that area too, of
Percent,
course, so.
100%.
And it will help maybe control that catalyst is what also my goal is. That area is going to explode at some time. And the more upfront we're with what type it explodes with, is a better tax base, what we're really maybe wanting for this county. That's another reason I'm very proponent for doing this type of thing.
It's a step in the right direction.
Yes.
All right, we have a motion. Are we closing discussion? All right, motion on the floor. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you. Okay, other business, Waverly Park. I do not see Kenny, so no update. All righty. Next meeting is August 12th at 8:30 a.m.
We've got, is it going to be in here? Because we've got budget meetings
I didn't have it on my calendar.
that day.
Maybe I screwed that up again. Let
I
me
don't
look.
know what,
We're at 9 a.m., so I doubt you're going to get
Yeah.
done in
I don't
time.
remember moving it, so
Give me a second, hang on.
if we did, probably. Yeah, I don't
What did you
have-
say?
where we went, where we should have been.
Sorry,
Yeah, I was like, who did that? All right, I don't have a new date on the calendar, so I don't know that we discussed it. I don't remember
I
discussing
think
that.
we did mention it, I don't think we addressed
Moved
it.
it, yep.
Yeah,
August 13th, online.
and that would probably be okay because we're like the 11th and the,
I think you're Monday, Tuesdays, aren't you?
yeah, and then we come back on Thursday. So Wednesday would be open, I assume. I
Oh,
don't know if there's.
I've got the 13th down.
Okay, so we did
Yeah,
address it. So it's the
sorry,
13th
it is the
instead of
13th.
12th.
My,
Okay.
my apologies.
Got it.
That's what we adopted
Gosh,
when
I'm gonna be
we
in the
adopted the
seat all
calendar.
week.
And April.
I know.
You guys just go ahead and take that week off of your real jobs.
Yeah, I do.
All right, so our next meeting is going to be August 13th on a Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. Oops, I don't know what I sent. I may have all sent you an invite to that meeting, who knows?
All good.
All right, I would entertain a motion to, anybody have any further business? Then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
And Meredith makes a motion to adjourn, I'm sorry, Jeff.
All right, all in favor, say a motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, we are in adjournment. Don't forget, you all need to sign the minutes.
Oh, yes.
And do I have things to sign? Yeah, and then I gotta go, I'm running behind.
Thank you. Great to see you.
Totally agree.